Okay, so my theme is teaching subject matter with a focus on art integration in the classroom. So my focus questions are, how can different subject matter be integrated effectively, and in what ways can a teacher represent content or subject matter for students? Which led me to my competency statement, which is, I am competent at incorporating art into other subject matter to enhance student learning and creativity. And so then before we start into all the evidences, I just wanted to point out the quote that I found below. It says, art is an idea. It is not enough to be able to draw, paint, and sculpt. An artist should be able to think. So then this struck me because when we're doing art, we're not just mindlessly creating things, but we're always thinking and processing as we go along. So then when I read this, it helped me make the connection between subject matter, because we're always thinking and learning. So when we're creating art and learning, we are always thinking as well. So before I get into my evidence, I want to point out this paragraph I wrote right here from my Teach 305 class with arts methods. We had to do a set of slides, and so then this was one of the slides we had to do in the beginning of our first impression of art in the classroom. And so then I never saw myself as creative. I didn't think I was good at art. And so then I underlined the sentence that stood out to me to show where I was in the beginning. I wondered how art can be used in a classroom during instruction, since it always seems like there's never enough time for students to learn, let alone even do art. And so then I obviously wondered, well, how can art even be integrated? So now going on to my first evidence, I focus on the subject of language arts. And then this was during my Lit Block practicum at Campbell Elementary in a 5th grade classroom. I was teaching my thematic unit on patterns in nature. And then it was on the last day, I had the students create their own imaginary animal with its unique pattern. And so then I created this little table right here of my own examples of imaginary animals. So I had my name, where did it live, what their pattern was, and how it helps them, and some fun facts about them. So then using this, I had them kind of look off of mine and create their own, so planning their writing. So then from this, they had to write their own little paragraph about their animal and draw an illustration of their animal. And so this was some examples of some of the student work that they did. So this person wrote about their animal Hardy, they had a little picture, and then this other student wrote about their Furbit, their animal, and then where it lived and what it did, what its pattern was, and they had the picture. And so then as I was walking around observing the students working, I saw that they were all very engaged, and they're all really excited to show me their animal. Oh, sister, come here, come look at my animal, come read my paragraph. And then I can see that they were just really into it. And then just from this, I saw that it doesn't have to be anything too fancy, too grand to incorporate art, but then it can be something as simple as this, where they're practicing their writing, their descriptive language, and then at the same time being creative. So then from this led me to think about how art can be used in other subjects to enhance their student learning. So which will lead me to my second evidence, which is in science. And so then in our Teach 315 classes, Science Methods class, we did the milk kaleidoscope experiment, where we had like the tub of milk and then food coloring and soap. And so we dipped the food coloring in the milk and then dipped soap in to watch a reaction. And so then with that experiment, I decided to take that into the preschool classroom. So then this was earlier in the year when the sisters have a daycare. And so then I help out whenever they need me to. And so then I decided to bring this into the preschool classroom and just have them do something fun. And so then I had all the kids, some of the kids in small groups, come up and just put the food coloring in the milk and then dip the soap in to see what would happen. And so that was what the video was about. So they were just dipping and seeing the reaction that was happening. And as they were doing this, I was asking them questions like, okay, well, what colors do we put in? Blue and yellow. Now what colors do you see? So obviously blue and yellow make green, so then they saw that happening. And so I asked them, well, what do you see happening? What's making the colors explode? So they were able to point out the soap made that reaction. And so then from this, I came to see that art can be represented within a subject, so art and science together. And then they were seeing something that was happening, a reaction, and they're also seeing art happening right in front of them too, with two colors being mixed together to create a new color. And then I also learned that it's never too young to integrate. They're never too young to learn about art within another subject. So, like as you can see, art and science was happening right in front of their eyes. And so from this experience, I looked back, okay, language arts, I had science, and then I thought about math, because math seemed like a really challenging subject. It's so black and white. Like I was thinking, well, how can art even be used in that? And so then, which will lead me to my third evidence, which is math. And this was in my student teaching at St. Michael's School in a 5th grade classroom. And I was teaching long division with 3 to 4 digit dividends. And they've been practicing that for the last couple of days on worksheets as homework, and it was a lot for them. So I was thinking, okay, well, what can I do to have them use division in a creative way? And so then I found this division house worksheet where they basically had to draw their house based on the numbers they found based on the division problem they set up. So for example, to find the number of doors in their house, they would divide their age by the number of years they have been at their current school. So they would solve that problem, and then they would create their house using that answer. So then this was an example of a student's house. This was her house that she created using the division problems that she had. So this was her work on this sheet. So 1 through, 10. And so then using these numbers that she found, she was able to create her house. And this was also another student's example, the division house. He had his house, and then this was his work as well. And then the students are really excited with this assignment. They were really hesitant at first because, oh look, more long division. But when they saw that they got to create their own house, they were like, oh, this isn't too bad after all. They were really excited to create their own house. And so then, again, and I saw from this evidence that when art isn't connected with the subject they're learning, it really enhances their learning and sees that the subjects they're learning can be used in other ways, not just division in itself, but it can be used in art and other ways as well. And so then when they brought in their assignments the next day, they were all excited to see everyone else's assignments, everyone's houses, because each house is unique in its own way. Not all houses are the same. It depends on their numbers that they got from their division house. So then this was my, again, 3 evidences: language arts, science, and math. So now we'll go over to the next one, my view of art in the classroom now. This was taken again from my Teach 305 slides that I created in the art methods class. And this was towards the end where at the end of the class, how did I grow? So then I underlined the sentence that really stood out to me. Art isn't seen as a separate subject in itself, but can be used to enhance the lesson and reinforce what students are learning in a creative manner. So again, it's really easy to see art as a separate subject that you go to once a week, specials, and that's probably about it. But it can easily be used within other subjects to enhance what students are learning and have them be creative as well. So even though they may not consider themselves creative, they can still create, because it's all in there, it was all within the student in some way. It just needs to be developed and brought out of them somehow. So again, my artifacts show integration of art within the lessons I taught. And then it's also another way to demonstrate what they learn and represent what they're learning. It also engages those visual learners that just need something to create something in front of them. And I had a couple of those in my student teaching classroom where they would always be drawing things. And not only does integrating art into subject matter increase and enhance what they learn, but also develop students' social skills as well. So then they can hopefully appreciate and understand one another's differences, because we can see from art, not everyone's artwork is the same. Their houses weren't the same, their animals weren't the same, but then just seeing that can hopefully lead them to appreciate everyone is different, everyone's unique. And then it's so crucial to have arts within subject matter, because in our Teach 305 art methods class, we learned that creativity and imagination really decreases as they get older. So one of them was when they're 3 or 4 years old, 98% of them would consider themselves pretty creative. But once they got to 10 years old, the numbers dropped down to 30%, which is a huge drop. And 5th graders are 10 years old? So then just seeing that really shocked me. Like, not many people are considering themselves creative and thinking that, they can do art and just be creative in general. So then just seeing that fact really made me feel that I should make a difference in this, and just throughout my semesters at UNL helped me see that I can make a difference in this. So how have I grown in this? I learned that, again, I've grown from having no knowledge whatsoever of how art can be used to having some ideas of how art can be used in the classroom. Again, I'm not perfect. I'm always still learning. So then I know that I can always learn more about how art can be used to help students learn better in all subject matter. I've also learned that I can use a variety of ways, modalities within my subjects to engage students in their learning. It also helped me see how simple art integration can be. It doesn't have to be anything too fancy, but as long as the students are engaged and are learning as they're creating, then I know that my art integration is effective. So where do I grow from here? There's so much more I can learn, of course, but I know that I can always collaborate with my art teacher in the school and just get ideas from her, get tools from her, whatever supply she has. I can also do some research, maybe looking at workshops, looking for things online to just get ideas of how I can use art to teach other subjects. I can also try to bring in different art modalities, such as paper. Instead of color pencils and crayons, the typical stuff, I can try to look at how other material can be used to create art in the classroom. And since I didn't get to teach social studies very much within my teaching, I can look more into social studies, how social studies and art can be used together to enhance their learning within social studies. So again, this is all the evidence of my growth in using art within subject matter to help students learn. And I also forgot, but this was based from my second piece of evidence. When the preschool kids did the milk kaleidoscope, as an art extension, I also had them dip watercolor paper into the milk to create kind of like milk marbled paper. So in a way, it's nice for them to see the colors that they created with the blues and the greens and some yellows in front of them. So again, to wrap everything up, art integration is very crucial, and I feel like I've really grown in this aspect throughout my time here at UNL.